In this video, I'm going to tell you how not to fall off the wagon when you're losing weight. If you want to control you eat, control your body, and control your life, then hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video. One of the most frustrating things about losing weight is falling off the wagon or going back to day one, or making progress and then hitting a wall and reversing the progress. I remember one summer I lost almost 40 pounds in about 5 months, and then in the next 6 months I regained 40 pounds. It was the most frustrating thing. It's like I had the prize and then I lost it. You don't necessarily have to fall off the wagon. It's completely your choice, but I'm gonna give you some tips to make it easier not to fall off the wagon. Falling off the wagon is so tempting and so easy because our brains like to do what's easy and simple. Our brains never liked the journey in the first place, and it will look for any way to get off the wagon. Your goal is to create so much momentum that it's impossible to go back. But creating that momentum takes a lot of time. So in this video, I'm going to give you some of my best tips to not fall off the wagon ever again. Before you blow your diet, you need to ask yourself, why are you doing this and what are the potential consequences? Is there some emotion that you're trying to get rid of? Do you just have too much free time? What's going on? I think what's really important is to catch yourself in the moment before you actually do it. Remember, there's always a bridge between what you're feeling and what you actually do. You don't actually have to act on these impulses and urges that you get. And in that moment before you actually eat the entire bag of potato chips, you have a choice. Just remind yourself, I don't have to open the refrigerator, I don't have to open the pantry, I don't have to open that box of cookies. My next tip for you is to keep the damage in mind and envision the potential consequences of what you're doing. I remember I was terrified of looking at the scale after a binge or after a bad day because I knew it was going to be really high. Even though a lot of that was just food weight and water retention, it didn't matter. Psychologically, it was still devastating. So I forced myself to start looking at the scale if I overate or if I binge. Even on the week, during the week or on the weekend, it didn't really matter, but especially on the weekend. For so many years, I was hiding from the scale. I didn't want to look at the scale. I thought it was somehow disordered to step on the scale every day. Now I realize how wrong that is. There is a reason to step on the scale. But if I misbehaved or if I wasn't making good decisions, then I forced myself to step on that scale, look at the number, and recognize the damage. That way, anytime I had this impulse or inclination to overeat, I reminded myself that I had to look at the damage the next day. And I forced myself to look in the mirror the next day too. You need to make the consequences hurt, and you need to see the damage for yourself. Don't pretend like you didn't eat that much. You probably did. My next tip for you is to remember your why. Why are you trying to be healthy? Why are you trying to lose weight? Why are you trying to make better decisions about what you eat? You started this journey with good intentions, right? Maybe you wanted to get fit. Maybe you wanted to look good for a big event. Maybe your cholesterol was too high. Maybe your doctor told you, whatever it was, I don't care. Just remember what your why is. I think a lot of times we just do things impulsively and we get this urge or this craving and we think that we have to do something about it. I think in that moment, before you open the pantry, it's important to ask yourself, why are you doing this? Why are you making this choice? And what is your bigger purpose? Why did you try to lose weight in the first place? Why did you lose that first pound? Why did you lose that second pound? Always connect with your why, always connect with your bigger vision. When you do that, you're less likely to make bad decisions because you know what the consequences are. When you're connected to your why, it's much easier to make smarter decisions about what you're doing. But your why, or your big reason, needs to be powerful too. It can't just be, I want to look better at the beach. That's usually not enough motivation. That's usually not a compelling vision. What you need is, I want to be healthy when I'm 60 or 70 years old so I can play with my grandkids and I don't want to get diabetes. Number 4 is to eliminate any excuses. Maybe you got invited to a barbecue or a party, or maybe you're gonna go watch football on Sunday, or maybe somebody brought you a cake for your birthday, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Maybe you went out with your family to a restaurant. Maybe you had a big event. It's easy to let yourself off the hook and say, well, I had a really busy weekend, I had all these social events, blah, 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 and that's why it wasn't good, or I'll get back on track on Monday. But how many times have you told yourself that? I remember I told myself, okay, starting on Sunday morning, then I'll be good. Starting next week, I'll be good. That's why Saturday was the worst day for me, because I always promised myself that I would be better starting next week. But how many times did I say starting next week? Like 500 times, 1,000 times? This went on for 5-10 years of my life. So Sunday always started well, usually, not always. But Saturday always ended well because I just told myself this lie that starting on Sunday at midnight, everything would be okay. When I realized that, self-awareness again, I started to be very, very strict about what I ate the last 12 hours of the week. Sometimes I just fasted those last 12 hours and I didn't eat anything. I would just eat a small lunch and then I would just completely skip dinner because I wanted to eliminate that excuse. I always heard that voice in my head saying, okay, tomorrow's Sunday, it's a new week, we can just forget about this last week. Well, the thing is, the consequences of your actions this week carry over into the next week. It's not like the damage just stays in 1 week and it doesn't go into the next week. It absolutely does. Tell yourself that when you reach a certain weight, you can give yourself a certain gift. Maybe you can go to the day spa. Maybe you can get a massage. Maybe you can get a spray tan. Maybe you can go to that restaurant you want to go to. Maybe you can watch a favorite movie that you want to watch. It doesn't really matter. Just give yourself some reason. What we know is that if you give people an incentive or some kind of reward at the end of the journey, they're more likely going to do the work. In fact, the whole study of economics is about the study of incentives. Why do people do stuff? They do stuff because there's a reward at the end. Why do people start businesses? Because they know that if the business is successful, they can make a lot of money, they can quit their job, and they can have a lot more freedom in life. You need to have some sort of reward. For me, I told myself that if I ever hit 60 kgs, which is about 132 pounds if you're in the United States, that I could get a spray tan, I could get my teeth whitened, and I could go get an hour-long massage. Maybe that's not a reward for you, it was for me. You need to decide for yourself what that reward is going to be. What you really need is more delayed gratification. The more delayed gratification you have in life, the better life is going to be overall. My next tip for you is to pat yourself on the back and remind yourself how far you need to go. I can't tell you how many times I stepped on the scale and I saw a number that I liked and I said, okay, I'm making progress. I can let off the gas and I can do whatever I want. And then I ended up binging, and then it took me days, if not weeks, to hit my next milestone. What you want to do is remember what your why is, what your big vision is, and then tell yourself that that vision is really important and that you need to keep going. It's okay to take a little break and to congratulate yourself, but the sooner you get back on track, the better. Don't reward yourself with food when you hit a certain milestone. It's like a marathoner who gets to mile 20 and says, okay, I'm done with the race. No, you still have 6.2 more miles. When you hit a milestone, you're going to feel good about yourself. You're going to feel more confident about yourself. That alone is a reward. You don't need to go to a Chinese buffet and stuff yourself. Speaking of good feelings, that's my next tip. Remember the good feelings you have when you reach a certain goal or you reach a certain weight. And then remember the bad feelings you have when you go in the other direction. When you can connect yourself with your future self or your past self, it makes it much easier to make smarter decisions today. Remember, future self is you right now. Ask yourself this: how will I feel about this decision 1 day from now, 1 week from now, 1 year from now? My next tip for you is to remember all of the hard work that you've done. One of the worst things you can do is to work really hard and make all this progress and then reverse all of it. Losing weight is hard enough, so why do you want to regain it and then try to lose it again? It's like putting together a puzzle and then destroying the puzzle. Why would you want to do that? If you're going to lose weight, lose it once. It makes your life so much easier. And my last tip for you is to remind yourself that falling off the wagon is much easier than getting back onto the wagon. If you're trying to lose weight, you have a lot of obstacles. You have food at the office, you have meetings, you have office parties, you have lunch with friends, you have birthday parties, you have holidays which are coming up not too long from now. It's like society and everybody is trying to derail your health and fitness goals. Why can't the world just understand that I'm trying to lose weight? I get it, it's hard sometimes, but that's part of the process and you need to recognize that. So before you choose to get off the wagon, just remember it's going to be really hard to get back onto the wagon. And you need to ask yourself, is this really worth it? Is it really worth a few moments of gustatory pleasure? Or do I want to stay on track and keep making progress? Trust me, sacrificing a few moments of pleasure is so much easier than succumbing to the temptation and then trying to get back onto the wagon. Progress is easy to lose, but once you have momentum and progress, it's so much easier to lose weight and hit your goals. If I could summarize this video, I would say it's self-awareness. What are you doing and why are you doing it? And is this something that you really want to do? Are you going to regret this decision in the future? If the answer is yes, then don't do it. Learning to say no is one of the most important things you can learn as an adult. If you're struggling with binge eating, overeating, or you want more control over what you eat, then head to my website, saneaters.com. I have some free training there that will show you how to control what you eat. And if you want to speak with me, there is a link in the description box below. And don't forget to check out some of my other videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.